Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidil Anbiya wa Mursaleen Nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. So this is the last class of Ramadan. Today, inshallah, we're going to be talking about namima, or we're going to be talking about tale carrying. And this is something that is very problematic in many of our communities. The common form of namima that we know is called gossip, right? When you take information one person to another. And inshallah, Ghazāli is going to discuss some of the issues with namima, how to define it, how it manifests in our lives in different ways, in different shapes, and different forms. So I think we did this last week, right? Right. So we completed this. This was all the different analogies that he brought in the different hadith that he brought concerning it. He also brings in the next section the how to define namima, right? How to define tale carrying. So over here, he says that it encompasses more than just taking one piece of information from one person to another. It's beyond that and expands beyond that. And includes so-and-so, such and such about you, something that we probably hear very often, right? And it is not necessary that it's specific to him. So it doesn't have to be, I can say so-and-so, such and such about you, or I can say so-and-so, such and such about him, right? So I can talk about third parties. Both of these would be considered namima. What makes it unique is exposing what others dislike. So the moment that I bring information about someone else that person dislikes, then I have entered the sphere, or I've entered the realm of namima. And that dislike can be from the one who's hearing it. So even if I'm hearing it and I dislike it, it's namima. The one who's relaying it, it can be namima, or even about a third party. So it doesn't have to even have to do with either of us. It can do with a third party altogether. And again, this is something that is extremely problematic. It can be in writing, it can speech, indication. It doesn't have to be something that is just said, right? So some people might be like, well, I didn't say it, right? Or technically I didn't say it. Or, sometimes even nodding at someone, somebody walks in the room, you nod at someone else, and you know that you're making fun of that person or you're talking about that person. It can be in the form of actions, or it can be in the form of statements. The essence of namima is exposing secrets. So exposing secrets, not in the sense that the person doesn't have that particular characteristic, but it's something that had to be pointed out in order for it to be known. Otherwise, had you not said anything, somebody might not have known about it. Somebody might not have noticed it previously. The other thing is, it's whatever is observed about someone. Someone is wearing a shirt that looks strange, or someone has a strange haircut, right? Like these are things that even if they're transitory, they might not be characteristics that are constantly fixed about that person. But did he start this? I forgot to check. Oh, yes, he did. Or to observe whatever is disliked. So it can be transitory, or it can be something that's a part of that person. It could be like a characteristic, the size of someone's ears, for example. So these are things that if we talk about others, it becomes extremely problematic. So how should it be dealt with? What are some things what do you guys think? If somebody either has a problem of enjoying to listen to gossip or to gossip about others, what are some strategies that we can implement or that we can try? All right, changing the subject. Okay, good. That's definitely one way of doing it. All right, leaving the conversation. That one's it's more challenging, right? It's harder to walk away if you're with a group of friends or you're with a group of people. Walking away from a conversation it's not the easiest decision to do. Okay, so that's within ourselves, how preventing myself from being nosy, because and we'll talk about some of the things that push us and drive us. Like why do we enjoy gossip so much? Why do people enjoy gossiping? I think it's a good question. So he mentions here, he says, like many things mentioned previously, the best way to avoid falling into gossip is by staying quiet. This is a solution for many of our problems. There's a reason that Imam Ghazāli, he actually starts the entire section of faults of the tongue with samt, right, with silence, and how important it is, because there's less likelihood of us falling into any type of danger or any type of trouble if we remain silent versus if we actually speak. There are some exceptional cases. Number one, if something brings benefit or something that prevents sin. So using an example, but even if I use an example, is it necessary that I specify an individual if I'm using it as a teaching lesson? No, right? I still don't need to specify the person. And at that point, the point is to to inspire someone, to teach someone, to help them avoid a certain sin, or to help bring them back to, bring them back to the truth if they have fallen into sin. Some examples here. So if I see someone taking advantage of another by extorting his wealth, I have a couple choices, right? I can share the information or I can hide the information. And I want you guys to think what we should do. So obviously, also, if I see someone hiding his wealth in general, right? If I see somebody who is stingy in general, I have the same two choices. I can share that information, I can hide the information. So in the first scenario here, if someone's taking advantage of someone, should I share that or should I hide that? Right? You should definitely share that information. Who should you share it with?
With the same person.
That like I know that you're taking this person's money.
No.
To the victim, you can definitely do that, right? That you're being taken advantage of. And why am I doing that? Because I don't like the one who's taking advantage of him.
No,
Okay, so he's taking his right, but what benefit does it mean to go and tell him like that hey, he's taking your right?
He may stop.
Okay, so you might encourage him, right? It might be a good way to encourage that individual to stand up for themselves, to stand up for their right, to recognize that, hey, listen, I see it too. Because sometimes when people take advantage of us, we think that, okay, maybe this is how the transaction is supposed to be, right? Or this is how the dealing is supposed to be. And when someone else comes and tells us, be like, hey, man, that's not right, then it helps bring to light some of these issues. In the second scenario, what do you think? If someone's just generally cheap? Huh? Right. It is something that should be hidden. Why? Right. It's not hurting someone else, right? And it's not taking advantage of others. Like, is it a good trait? What is a good way of me dealing with that? Okay. Or what else? No, I mean, you're like these are all general strategies if I don't want to interact with the person, right? Like, all right, giving advice, sure. And at what point should I give advice to this person? All right, when it starts affecting others, for sure. Huh? Okay, their family start affecting others. I think that's definitely something that's really important. What else? Right. So building a relationship is something that we try to touch on time and again. The best time to give advice to someone is, we said, number one, when they ask, right? Like that's something that's really important. You don't want to volunteer advice all the time, because if you do that, then you come across as very judgmental. If you're just walking around and be like, hey, you should do this and you should do this and you should do this. Okay, what am I doing? You know what I mean? Like if I'm constantly using you in my vocabulary, then the problem is that I'm never using I or me. That's definitely one aspect to it. The other aspect to it is like, because you can't wait for everyone to ask for advice. Not everyone's going to do that. So the best thing to do in such a situation is to build a relationship with them. Walaikum salam. Why is it important to build that relationship? Okay, they won't feel attacked, and you're coming from a place of care, because when you build a relationship versus just walking up to a stranger and being like, hey, you're cheap, right? So how do you think that conversation is going to go? You can be like, who are you? That's the first question they're going to ask, is like, who are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you know that? Why are you saying that about me? It's going to come across as very aggressive. And usually, how do we as humans deal with aggression? With aggression, right? So we usually respond with aggression, like, no, you're cheap, right? You know what I mean? Like, and that's a knee-jerk response that many of us have, versus if I have a relationship with someone, if that person is my close friend and I can sit down and be like, hey, listen, I need to talk to you, then you're already mentally preparing them to come with whatever piece of advice is that I had to have. I remember someone had asked me for advice, and I wasn't close with the person, but they asked. And they told me a series of things, and I was like, yeah, it sounds like you have an ego problem. They didn't they didn't really like that advice. So I've had two responses to that. When one response was, they got very upset, right? They're like, no, I don't have an ego problem. I'm always trying to help people and this and that. And I'm like, okay. I was like, listen, the only reason I'm telling you is because you asked. The other response I got is that the brother actually started crying. like with because out of realization, like, oh man, like I really do have a problem, and I need to work on this, and I need to better myself. So you get different responses from different people, but at least when someone attacks you back, you can be like, well, you asked me, I'm not volunteering this information. And when you have a relationship, it's okay if the initial reaction is a little, because nobody likes being criticized, like none of us like being criticized, like, you have this shortcoming or you have that shortcoming. I think those are the best relationships that we have, the ones where people are honest with us and they tell us that we're doing something wrong. Because if somebody tells me I'm doing something wrong, I have the opportunity to fix it. Imagine if he never told me.
Or gave hints.
Right? Or gave hints. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine if I never got that information. I would go through my life constantly making that same mistake. So, and those moments where we are given advice, those should be opportunities that we take. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every time He gives us an opportunity, that means that He still has His mercy on us and He's still blessing us, because He wants us to grow and get better. So if I share a shortcoming or fault about another with others, what does that say about me? Right? It means I have some kind of my own problem. I've managed to combine between backbiting and lying and tail carrying. So all I've done is just multiply my sin instead of just falling into one. And these are things that are categorically prohibited in Islam. It's not like those issues like, can I buy a house on a loan? I mean, like, you have a scholarly discussion on that. If you ask any of these scholars, like, is it okay to backbite? They're not going to be like, well, there's khilaf. No, there's no khilaf. Or can I fall into namima? They'd be like, no, there's no khilaf on certain things and on certain issues. And these are those issues. But I just find it interesting how we argue about the way to pray. We argue about purchasing homes, and we argue about all of these other things, when these are the things that we actually fall into more often than like, if I buy a home, how many times am I going to buy it? Like once, maybe twice. Versus this is like a daily thing for some of us, right? The backbiting and the tail carrying. But these are things we never go to the scholars about. Yeah.
But they're both major sins?
No, it depends. So I'll ask Ramsha if you guys are interested. I did a workshop on purchasing homes and the different scholarly opinions about that. And I can share that with you, inshallah. But yeah, I'm sorry.
About this buying home.
Yeah.
With the Islamic Sharia, but there's some khilaf.
There's khilaf, like,
let's say there's no halal thing.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah. Everything's haram, and living in America is haram, and us sitting in these chairs is haram. Yeah. No, you can't. It's not. It's yeah. So the thing is, I can share the lecture with you, inshallah. And then you guys are more than welcome to watch it. But I'm saying, even if we say it's riba, all right. Let's say the person is buying a house. We agree that the purchase is on riba. Like, how many times is he going to fall into it? There's going to be a one time. I mean, it's going to be a one-time transaction. I'm not saying that it's good and you should do it. I'm encouraging. No, that's not the case. So if something's haram, we avoid it. The problem that I have is that this issue is a one-time issue versus these things, which tend to be daily.
Hourly.
So like, subhanallah, man. Yeah, it's part of our daily lives. And this is something that there's no khilaf on, right? That you can argue about the house issue. Can anybody argue these? Right? These are very clear. Yes.
Also, like the same, like, for example,
Yeah. If it's a okay, you know what? I won't use the house. Yeah.
Let's just say that for now.
Yeah.
So that and this, like, it's the same.
So this goes more back to the issue of how do we grade major sins. All right, grading major sins. You have two sets of sins. Some of the sins we know as do you guys know what they are? The kaba'ir, right? So you have the kaba'ir, you have the major sins, and then you have sagha'ir, which are the minor sins. So the kaba'ir, what are some major sins that you guys are aware of? Right. All right, shirk. Right, shirk. Let's separate shirk a little bit, because that's the only one that on the day of judgment cannot be forgiven. Yeah, it's unforgivable. Let's talk about the forgivable major sins. Right, drinking alcohol, killing, right, murder, zina, backbiting, theft, tale carrying, slandering, lying. All of these are all major sins, right? Homosexuality, right? These are all major sins. So disrespecting your parents, right? This is also a major sin. So the question then comes, how would I order these sins? What is number one? Wallahu a'lam. Like I'm being very honest. Like I don't know, and there are scholars who've done works on this. So if you actually, I think we discussed it previously. If you go through Islamic history, if you go to the earlier scholars, the major sins are like limited to like 10, 10 or 15, and then as time goes on, the list it gets longer and longer, right? And why? Maybe because they came up with different ways to figure out, okay, this is a major sin. So I agree with you. No, a sin is a sin. No, but the thing is, like, they do that. No, may Allah protect us. But the point is, like, the scholars, why did they do that? Maybe because certain cultures face certain problems and they face certain issues. So this is why they graded those sins as such. For some scholars, it's an academic discussion. You know what I mean? For them, it's just like, okay, well, based on this, some scholars they'll say, and I remember a brother, he was arguing this issue with me once. He was like, okay, well, isn't there capital punishment for homosexuality? I'm like, yes, there is. And he was like, wouldn't that make it the worst? I said no. I said riba is worse. I said, would you agree or no? I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says he's at war with those people involved themselves with riba. I was like, but what is the punishment? What is the punishment Islamically for riba? There's no punishment, right? What is the punishment for disrespecting my parents? There's no punishment, right? And some people would argue that disrespecting your parents is worse than falling into any of these other sins, right? So the grading thing, I think it's an academic discussion. A practical discussion, I don't think so. I don't think it's very practical for us. These major sins are all sins that we should take extra steps to stay away from. Yeah. Yeah. So in this is, I remember I remember I was talking, like, and I think I was talking about homosexuality very specifically, and a brother was like, he's like, well, we shouldn't try to normalize it. But I was like, I'm not trying to normalize anything. A sin is a sin, but don't make we can't put an extra grade on something because I personally am disgusted by it. Does that make sense? Right? Just because I am disgusted by alcohol, can I move it up a rank? No, right? My personal disgust has no part in the discussion on the things that are impermissible. If something is impermissible, if something is a major sin, it's a major sin. It doesn't give me the right to put my personal input, like this is higher, this is lower. Can I grade them on a personal level? Yes, absolutely. Yani for me, this is bigger. For me, this is less, and that's completely fine. It just means not only am I going to take extra steps to avoid it, I'm going to take extra steps to avoid it, and which is okay. But because the only other group that makes all sins major sins are who? Are the Khawarij. And who are the Khawarij? The Khawarij are the extremists in Islam. These individuals, they only think in binary. They only think it's either Islam or kufr. Yeah, meaning that if I fall into a sin, I fall into disbelief. And this is exactly what extremist thought is. This is what leads people to killing other Muslims. Why do Muslims kill other Muslims? Because they're like, what gives them the right? Why would a Muslim even feel empowered enough to know and kill someone else? Because he doesn't view him as what? As Muslim. And why doesn't he view him as Muslim? And for many of the modern day, like who we call the Muslim terrorists, what are the two things that they do? Either they've fallen into some sin, or they associate with people who've fallen into that sin. It's like, you because you follow this leader and this leader is not following Islamic law, therefore you are kafir, and you are kafir, therefore your blood is halal. It's very sad. It's very sad that you have such binary thinking within the Muslim community. And how do you deal with it? With education. I'm sorry? So extremists, and I'm saying it doesn't matter what religion you follow, extremists will always use the books of their religion. Are they using them in the right way? No, even Islamic extremists, they use the Quran, they use the Hadith. But the problem is that how are they using it? They're using it in the wrong way. Yeah. Even the Prophet ﷺ, what did he say about them? He said that these people, they will pray more than you. They will fast more than you. They will read Quran more than you, but the Quran will not pass their throats. What does that mean? It doesn't, Asante, right? It doesn't reach their hearts. They are concerned with the superficial. Yeah, these are the people, they only focus on how you pray, not what you're praying to and what is happening in your heart during the prayer, right? There's so many levels to Islam. There's so many levels to worship. It's not fair just to box it just into the structure of the worship. Is that important? Yes, there's no doubt about it. And can I come for Salatul Dhuhr and say, be like, guys, I'm tired today, let's do 3 rak'ah. No, I can't do that, right? The prayer would be considered invalid. That's a huge problem. But for me, just to focus on the prayer, you know what I mean? Like this becomes extremely problematic. And this is a huge issue because there is a spirit behind everything. And it's important to respect both the structure and the spirit. Because if you don't respect these things, you'll lose the religion in its totality. And this is why you have people who are like this, because they're only concerned with the structure. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about the spirit of the religion. You know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and our children. No, that's another very major characteristic. I am right, and everybody else is wrong. Right, and this is a very but the problem is, is that some of us fall into that too.
Yeah, with other stuff.
With other things, like the way I pray, the way I dress, the way I am with my family. This is not, which is okay. Like for me to believe my way is right, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I have to believe something. Where's the problem? When I believe other people are wrong. That's what, and then I was like, not only am I right, you have to do it my right way. We have this in sometimes very simple concepts, schooling. And should I send my kid to public school? Should I homeschool them? Should I send them to private school? Should I send them to Islamic school? Right? You have parents who are on all of these different spectrums, but the ones who homeschool their kids, you guys are you don't know what you're doing. The ones who send their Islamic school, and you guys don't know what you're doing. The ones who send their public school, you guys are wasting your money, right? This does not breed tolerance in the community. When somebody had asked me, they're like, where do I send my kids to school? I was like, I don't have a prescription. I just don't, unfortunately. I said, you need to do what works best for your family. That's it. That is the solution. The solution is what everybody does that is good for them and what works for them. The only thing that needs to stay in common with all of these 4 types of schooling or these 5 types of schooling is that I don't care what you do, you need to have a relationship with your son or your daughter. That's it. I said, inshallah, if you have a relationship with your son and daughter, make dua, try to treat them well, try to give them good tarbiyah. Inshallah, Allah will make them successful. But if it doesn't matter which system you choose, if you don't have a relationship with them, the chances of them failing become significantly higher. So, may Allah protect us and our children. Yes.
What if somebody's like known to be a hypocrite? Like, can you still consider them like a kafir, or they're falling?
No, absolutely not. Neither. Somebody can have traits of hypocrisy, but you can never call somebody a hypocrite. Why? Because hypocrisy is a state of the heart. And I can't look at anyone and tell me what the state of their heart is. So even when a non-Muslim dies, I can't say anything. Why?
No, but what if you know about the person that whatever they say, if you don't do it, like they have a major problem?
Then they have a problem, right? But can I now start doubting their belief? Do you understand? I can doubt their.
They don't follow that, but they want to implement on other people, but they don't do it on themselves.
Well, number one, I would suggest you distancing yourself from this person. that would be the first thing. The second thing is, again, a person can have characteristics of hypocrisy. A person can do hypocritical things. A person cannot act on the things that they say. But at the end of the day, what gives me the right to speak on what is happening in somebody's heart? It doesn't mean that I'm saying he's a good person or he's a bad person or whatever the case might be. But what gives me the right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's the one that knows what's in the hearts of people. There's no way for me to know that. No way. Absolutely not. Even if a person tells me something, there's a possibility that he or she is what? Lying, right? Like just straight up lying and not telling the truth. I don't know what's happening in people's hearts. And this is why Allah is he's the one that takes care of these issues. He's taking care of these affairs. I'm only responsible on how to deal with people based on how they deal with me. That's it. That's the only responsibility I have, regardless of my relationship to them. Because there is no relationship that I cannot re-navigate or I cannot readjust. These are things that sometimes we fail at. And because we have people who've hurt us, we will justify certain things saying, okay, well, this is my cousin, or this is my brother, or I've been friends with this person for 20 years, or whatever the case might be. These are all constructs that we've created. it doesn't mean that I can't walk away from that. So a person, they had asked me, they said, okay, well, I have a brother who's like really abusive and this and that. Like, and Allah commands me to maintain my ties and my relationship with him. Akhi, does that mean you have to call him every day? Right? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "La tuhajir akhaka fawqa thalath." He said, don't abandon your brother for more than 3 days. Abandonment is very purposeful, right? But if I haven't talked to my friend for a week, have I abandoned him? No, right? There's no, why? Because that's not purposeful. It's not, you're not purposely trying to avoid that person. But when it comes to like brothers, siblings, family, whatever the case might be, the relationship is a spectrum. Meaning that there are some relationships you only check in with them every Eid, right? There are some relationships you only check in every quarter. There's some relationships you'll check in weekly, right? It depends. But is every relationship the same? And just because I have a blood relationship with someone, does it not mean that I can't have a better relationship with a friend? Right? Like all of these things are fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The only difference with the blood relation is sometimes there are inheritance rights that are involved. Sometimes there's a help issue. Like for example, if a person falls into debt, he has more right over me than a stranger would. If he gets into an accident or he hurts someone, he has right to ask me to help him to pay off that whatever the accident or whatever the case might be. Right? These are the slight subtle differences that happen within family and between blood. But at the end of the day, that the friendly relationship that I have with someone, it's a spectrum. It's not just one way to do it. When do you check in with your friends and your family every single day? No, right? There's going to be a time frame between that. As long as it's not purposely trying to abandon them, right? It doesn't mean avoid, right? You can avoid someone because sometimes, okay, I can't deal with him today, right? And sometimes we have that. Yeah.
If I have Kafir relatives,
Yeah.
but I'm related by blood with him, what's my right over him? What's his right over me?
He's your family. Even non-Muslims. Even non-Muslims. No. Listen, hating is on the actions. It's not on the people. Even the Prophet, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says about him, "Innaka la tahdi man ahbabt," that you do not guide who you love. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very specifically chose this word of love. And who is he talking about? He's talking about Abu Talib, his pagan uncle. Yeah, so loving, hating, it's not an issue. You love and you hate actions, right? For sure. But it's very difficult to apply it to people. There are some people that we can apply it to based on our individual experiences. For example, la samahallah, if you have Ahmed and Khalid and Ahmed kills Khalid's mom, how will Khalid feel? Right? He might hate him. Is he justified for hating him? Yeah, absolutely. I would say he is. Right? It's human nature, and to hate these, but or to hate killers in general. Right? This is part of human nature, or hate dishonest people. This is part of human nature. Like we all have this in us. But now my uncle who has been good to me, my uncle who's taken care of me, my uncle who has always been there and stood for me and stood by my side, but he's not Muslim. What reason do I have to hate him? Can I hate his disbelief? Absolutely. Do I need to hate the person? Bil'aks, I'm going to love this person because he stood for me. Sometimes there are non-Muslims who do things for us that many Muslims don't do. Right? You know why? Because people are people, right? People are always going to be people, right? I'm saying like people are always going to be people. Some people are going to be good. Some people are going to be bad. How I deal with them is based on how many times they deal with me. It's not an issue of like I put a blanket out like, oh, kuffar, blah, I just hate all of them. This is ignorance. This is ignorance. This is not Islam. Islam should be open. It should be inviting. It should be loving. When we walk into a place, we should want to make that place and the people in that place what? Better.
But now what's happening?
No, well, it's alhamdulillah. Not with there are some people who are like that, but I don't think everybody's like that. I think the problem is there's a lot of confusion, and people don't understand how to differentiate and how to deal with this issue. I remember I had asked high schoolers one time. I wrote on the word 2 words. I put homosexual and I put homosexuality. I said, what is the ruling on homosexuality? They're all like, haram. It's not permissible. I said, what is the ruling on the homosexual? And they all, I mean, they weren't sure what the answer was. And I was like, and that's exactly what the answer is. I don't know. Like, I don't know this person. What if this person is good? What if he helps out? What if he, comes and he drops off food and he does all these things? What reason do I have to hate him? Is there a reason for me to hate him? No. At the same time, like, what if this person is a rapist? You understand? It's not just a blanket thing. Like, yeah, I have a problem with the action. Does it mean I have, do I have a problem with the person? No, not necessarily. And even with people, there's a spectrum of people. Like, people are not blocks of wood, right? Like, everybody's individual, everybody's different, everybody's going to react in different ways, in different shapes, and different forms. And we have to respect that. And it is based on that we gauge many of our interactions in our lives. If somebody's mean, if I go to a coffee shop and the person there is mean to me once, I might be like, he's a bad barista, and I'll go back. But if every time I go, like I've gone 3 times, and every time I get bad service, what are the chances of me going back to that coffee shop? Right? I've already placed a hukum on the coffee shop, like all of it. I'm going to be like, this place is terrible. I'm never going back. Why? Because of my personal experience. Versus someone else, they might go, and every time they go, they have a great experience. This is just the nature of people. This is how we are. We react based on how we are dealt with. Yeah. Ideally, we should all work solely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Ideally. But do people affect us? Of course, and it's human. That's part of being human, that we are affected by all of these things. So it's very important to do the best that we can to try and avoid all of these sins. And these are things, again, that are agreed upon. There's no difference of opinion on any of these things and on any of these issues. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So over here, so what pushes us to tail carry? What do you guys think? Why do we fall into gossip and namima and tail carrying? All right, entertainment. Okay, good. Ego. All right, why do we mock? Why do we make fun? When I make fun of someone, why do I do that? Right, yeah. No, sure. So, sometimes it can be. Or sometimes the opposite. Why will I talk about someone? Because I'm obsessed with them. I'm infatuated with them. Yeah. Right? That's also a possibility. And they, yeah, right. Well, it doesn't cost anything. Yeah. Allah Mustaan. Yeah, it's very light. So Ghazāli, he actually summarizes it with uncontrolled feelings, and this is a concept that I think is really important because it's related to this idea of sabr, right? Of forbearance, because sabr is having emotional control, and when you don't have emotional control, it means that your emotions are controlling you, and when our emotions are controlling us, this is very animalistic. Right, so this is how Ghazāli presents it in a number of different arguments, that when we allow our emotions to pull us, whether it be anger, whether it be happiness, whether it be sadness, like example, it doesn't matter what the situation is. These are the things that will cause us to be animalistic, and this shows the lack of human control over these issues. And that's what sabr is. Sabr is emotional intelligence. It is emotional IQ. And from those things he mentions hate, right? I can hate someone, and this is what will cause me to talk about someone. He also mentions love. Right? If I'm obsessed or I love someone, I will talk about them. Other things he mentions is just for conversation, just to pass time. You know, we'll talk about people because like you said, it's easy. It doesn't cost anything. It's right. Yeah, if we don't keep ourselves busy. Allah must say. So there, you forget about these things. You know, so.
One factor, as to me.
So yeah, no. In English, there's actually a method. There's a saying. It says, idle hands are Satan's playground.
Yeah, or idle mind is,
yeah, or like like idle mind is Satan's playground or something like that. But all these things, like keeping ourselves busy is important.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the opposite of idleness is dhikr. Right, so idleness is ghafla, right, and remembrance is dhikr. So always try to stay in a state of dhikr and to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Idle hands are Satan's playground. No, if you stay busy, you know, because you don't have time, right? The busier we keep ourselves, yeah.
Something good is exercise. And to keep yourself busy, otherwise.
No, otherwise you do all these other things. But even so, which is the importance of setting a schedule too, right? I think one of the things that many times we overlook is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He made dhikr. He used to pray. He used to fast. He would spend time with Quran. He would spend time with his family. He would spend time with himself. One of the most enlightening things for me personally, when I was coming to the Imam position, I was like, man, I need to set hours, right? It's important to set hours. And then someone said to me, they're like, you're the Imam, you have to be available all the time. I said, then why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the companions about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever you go to him, istadhan, to seek his permission. And don't be mad when he turns you away. And I said, he's setting his personal boundaries. I said, if you don't set your personal boundaries, what happens is, and I think we had this conversation too, what is the problem when I don't set personal boundaries with others? People will misuse them, right? People will always keep pushing because people don't know where to stop. Like we don't know where to stop unless we see a stop sign, right? We don't know. It's natural, right? If we don't see a stop sign, if we don't see lanes in the road, we don't know which side we're going to drive on. We need markers. Like we as human beings, it's very natural for us to seek out these markers in the world around us. And the markers we have with other people are the boundaries that they set with us. It's not fair for me to get angry at someone for coming at my house at 2 a.m. if I told them you can't come to my house after 11 o'clock, right? And it's important to set these boundaries. Like it might get crossed one time, but we can't allow those boundaries to be crossed again and again. No, but crossing the line is no good. But what if I never drew the line? No, like we never draw the line, then how are people know that they're crossing it? And then we feel burnt out, right? We feel like we can't work anymore. We feel like we're being taken advantage of. We start having all of these negative feelings. So all of the good intention we went in with, right? And this many times happens when we volunteer, and especially in Islamic institutions. We go to volunteer, and what happens is in the institution, when the institution sees a person volunteering, what do they automatically assume? That they can do other things. It's like, oh, you're doing this. Hey, can you do this too? Oh, and then when you do that, what happens? Well, can you do this too? And when you do that, I just need you to do one more thing, right? Right. And so this person now, instead of them thinking that, okay, I'm just going to do 4 hours a week at the masjid. This is the free time I have, and this is what I feel happy doing. And it from 4 becomes 8, and they end up working full time more than the employees, right? Why? Because they never set their boundaries in the first place. Be like, versus them, the first time they said, can you do this? And you say, no. There's no reason to feel bad. So will some people like try to blackmail you? It's natural, right? People will always try. People want to get things done from whatever case or whatever issue it is. And they'll be like, you should do it for Allah. Allah will be happy if you do more good deeds. And, don't you want people to be happy when you do this? Yes, I do, but I don't have time. Right? And I'm not stopping them from being happy. Right? I'm not preventing it. I'm not the gatekeeper to any of these things. They're more than welcome to do it. Ask them. Get more people involved. And this is the key to take care of many problems. There's one of the sisters here was giving a class, and the parents, they came up to me and they're like, yeah, can she do the class like year round? I was like, no. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? I said, are you willing to come in like as parents two times a week and alternate through the rest of the year to give her support, because she can't do it. I don't know if I can I can do that. And I was like, well, then I said, if you're not willing to give time and you're not willing to give space, if you're not willing to give your presence, why is it fair to expect it from her? And sometimes it's very simple things. I remember I was Imam at the masjid, and on the member, somebody had put a carpet. Like, they had put a new member and they had put a carpet on the member. So one guy, he walks up to me, he's like, Sheikh, it would be really nice if we could get a matching carpet for the member. And I was like, you're right. It would be amazing. I said, go ahead and get the carpet. No. I said to no, the time was fine. The time was fine. It was like after Salat al-Asr or something. So I said to him, I was like, yeah, you know what? I agree with you 100%. I said, go get the carpet and we'll put it in. I said, we won't even tell anyone. We'll just put it in and it'll match the carpet and we'll be good. I think it's been like 4 years now. It's still the same. It's still the same carpet. It hasn't been changed. Allah musta'an. What if I'm on the receiving end? So alhamdulillah, I've managed to control myself. I've stopped myself from gossiping. But what if people are coming and gossiping to me? What can I do? Okay, I can stop them for sure. What is a good way of stopping them? All right, tell them it's haram. Okay, It's like
Kill them and
changing the subject. So it's changing the subject is a softer way of doing it. Telling them it's haram. What happens when you tell people
they
things
know
are
it's
haram?
They know. They
Right?
know
People get right. People get defensive, or people get like they think you're being judgmental. It's like you're judging my actions now and telling me what my actions are. Are they halal or they're haram? Changing the subject, I think, is a little bit of a softer way of doing that. Ghazāli, he actually mentioned 6 things. So he said there are 6 things that a person should do. One, you shouldn't believe him. So he's like, this is the first step. Regardless of the gossip that people come and they bring to you, you should make an effort not to believe it. So now here, if you have a community of people who are not believing the information that's coming to them, how is the person who gossips going to feel?
Incredible.
No, not just incredible. Like, so the people are going to know, like, okay, this guy's a gossiper, like, you know, and stay away from him. But I'm saying, is this a good way as a community to discourage people from gossiping? Right, absolutely.
How can I know it's not true?
Because
Sometimes
the
there's true gossip, right?
no, so there is, like, not to say that not everything is false, right? That's not the goal. The goal here is my attitude.
You have to do that.
Yeah, like how I'm dealing with it. As for if information is coming to me as true or not, it depends. Like, number one, am I the relevant person to receive this information? Right? This is like, we have to judge this sometimes. If somebody's coming and say, hey man, I think this guy's stealing money from you, I don't have to believe him, but can I investigate it? I can, right? Depending if I'm an employer and he's like, I have the situation that's going on, but it doesn't mean I should believe every piece of information that comes to me. He says that prevent him and advise him. And this is something, how it's done, there are different ways to doing this. And this is something that's important. Hate him for the sake of Allah. What do you guys think about this one?
A bit too harsh.
You think it's harsh? Okay, that's fair. Hey, listen, it's a book. You guys can challenge it. It's not a big deal. Not to think ill of the one being spoken of. So not only should you not believe him, but you shouldn't change your attitude toward the person who he's speaking about. Sometimes that's hard. Don't explore the claim. Don't investigate.
But for a lot of people, that's kind of not.
So here I would say it depends. Here I would say it depends. Is this in an absolute sense? Huh? Or are there some cases where you think that you can explore?
Well, is there a threat to somebody?
Remember the first thing we spoke about? Remember where you should speak and where you shouldn't speak? And where did we say we should speak? If it affects others, right? If this thing is affecting others, then you have every right to go ahead and speak about it. And none of these things would apply, right? None of these things would apply at that point. And lastly, dislike what you prevented him from in your heart. Meaning what? Don't. Not just don't engage. Don't what? Don't pass it on. Don't carry it forward. You know, how many of us get forwards and like unthinkingly just forward them even further? It's hugely problematic. You know, if we want others to stop doing this, that it's important that we also stop ourselves. So he gets into a little bit more detail on what he means by all of these. The first one he uses, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. That believers, if a troublemaker brings you news, check it first in case you wrong others unwittingly and later regret what you have done. This is important. Any piece of information that is brought to us, we should never take it at face value. Unless what? Are there situations where I can take information at face value?
It's so obvious. If it's from a trusted source.
If it's from a trusted source, okay? Now, how do I determine what a trusted source is?
Depends what's the situation like.
Okay.
Like if it's a court as an example,
Mhm.
giving information.
I-
I should trust
So the government?
sometimes like when it's to know
Which one?
So it's situational, right? So this thing, are there times where I can trust the government information? Sure, right? Like every time? No, not necessarily. But if they're sharing numbers of the number of people, for example, that's called in for domestic abuse cases, is there any reason for me to distrust them? No. What benefit are they getting by lying? So, you know, I think there are some certain things that it's important to look into to understand why that is, but we shouldn't take everything at face value And the more trusted the source, the more trusted we can take that information. Yes.
Just disagree with the first, with the 6 points. It was like,
So it's not believe him. That's the first point,
yeah,
right? Tabayinu. So check it first. Why am I checking it? Because I don't believe it and I don't trust it.
Do your due diligence.
Yeah, do your due diligence. This is something that's really
but the
important.
book said like, do not investigate.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to what he means by, because even in the investigation, it depends. If it's just pure gossip, if I'm not believing him, what purpose do I have to investigate? Versus if somebody's bringing me a piece of information that is directly affecting me, or that's directly affecting my son. Like, yeah, for example, somebody comes to me and they said, hey, so-and-so just hit your son. Do you understand? At that point, will it warrant an investigation? Sure, right? Because there's less gossip here and there's more information. Also prevent him and advise him. وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَأَنْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. That command what is right and forbid what is wrong. This is the beginning part of the thing. But command what is right and forbid what is wrong. This is something that is really important. The ways to do that, we had spoken about it. The best way to advise someone is, number one, to invest in that person. And investing in that person means to develop a relationship with them. And if I don't have a relationship with them and somebody's telling me something, what should I do?
Take it with a grain of salt.
Right, I can take the information with a grain of salt. Or if I'm invested enough in the person, I can make efforts to invest in that individual. And what does it take to make a relationship with someone? Sometimes just a smile, right? It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot. You know, I'm not talking about like, man, I need to wait 3 weeks before I can talk to this. No, that's not the case. Sometimes it's just enough like, hey, what's your name? Oh, mashallah, you know, this is the first time I've seen you here, blah, blah. I noticed, right? Because now you've removed that cloak of ambiguity and you've actually developed, and all it took was like, sometimes 10 words can make a difference between knowing and not knowing someone. The next thing, hate him for the sake of Allah. Allah hates him and we are obligated to hate whatever he hates. What do you think he means here? Is there an explanation for this, or should we just say, nah, this is off?
How do you know Allah hates him?
Allahu Akbar.
Is there a verse?
Huh? No, this is his logical conclusion.
How did he conclude that Allah hates him?
Because he is doing, why would Allah allow him to fall into namima?
That's a weird logic.
That could be said for any sin, right?
Oh,
What?
that could be for any sin.
Yeah.
I don't know, Allah hates him. I think it's like you're telling what Allah feels or not feels.
Yeah, and that's extremely problematic, right? That's extremely problematic because we don't know. We don't know if Allah actually hates him. So this point can be challenged. But what is there anything we can take away from this? Right, take away, like hating the action. So the point here, and I think what was actually intended is hating the action, and that hating that this action even reached you, right? That it even came to you. Because if you look at all of these things, it's all about attitude. Like the things that's shared between all this is the attitude I have toward the information that's reaching me, the attitude that I have, you know, not necessarily toward the person, but any time this situation arises, I should hate and I should detest the situation, not necessarily the person, right? Like what if your mom comes and gossips to you, which many of our moms do, unfortunately, right? You can't be like, I hate you for the sake of Allah, right? you might end up with a bunch of other problems. Not to think ill of the one who's being spoken to. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اجْتَنِبُوا كَثِيرًا مِنَ الظَّنِّ إِنَّ بَعْضَ الظَّنِّ إِثْمٌ. Avoid making too many assumptions. Some assumptions are sinful. Again, the problem not only is in the information, sometimes our mind starts working. Oh, that's why he does like this, or that's why she acts like that, right? All of a sudden we start drawing our own conclusions and we'll start to piece information together. Before I wasn't caring, I didn't look, I would take extra, I would take extra care to see what's going on. Like, hey, how's everything? Like just to explore a little bit. These are the type of things that are extremely problematic and they lead to suspicion within the community. We cannot be suspicious of each other, right? This is not fair, and it doesn't lead to harmony within a society, or doesn't lead to harmony within a community. Not explore the وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا. And this is a continuation of the ayah. And do not spy on them, because the moment I have an assumption about someone, I want to explore that assumption and verify it. And just imagine if everybody started exploring all types of gossips that, that were around, like the community, nobody would trust each other. No one. Like you would lose complete trust within a community or within a society. There has to be a level of trust that's established. Just like what you prevented him from in your heart. By even relaying what you heard. Don't even share. Because sometimes what we'll do is be like, oh, can you believe what so-and-so just told me? Right? Like acting like you're disgusted, but it's a sneaky way of moving the gossip forward. You can be like, I can't believe so-and-so just told me about her like this. We'll say it like coming across like we're pious, be like, oh, this is so bad. He shouldn't have said this. Okay, then don't share it. Like, huh?
Maybe
say it back to him. Say it back to the one who told you. It's like, I can't believe this idiot told me. Oh wait, no, that's you. It might be a way of preventing him, but I think it might end up being more insulting than anything. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
So you said like to avoid suspicion, right?
Yeah.
What if they have like a major problem and there's like a red flag, and you keep on giving like benefit of doubt and you're avoiding that, suspicious or
Sure.
the acts. So you're kind of deceiving yourself at the end of the day.
So there's a fine line between suspicion and established fact, because even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the same verse, where is it? I'm sorry. He says, "Ijtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann." What does it say? Too many suspicions. Not all suspicions, because some suspicions are founded. So for example, every day I come home and I keep money on my counter, and it's like, okay, every time the maids come, my $20 are missing. No, they're good maids, right? I'm only fooling myself at that point. But the thing is, if I have justified suspicion, that's very different. Justified suspicion is different than somebody just bringing me a piece of information. But if there is something that's actually justified and it's verifiable, at that point, I'm a fool. I'm a fool to allow myself to fall into that. So over here, this was the last thing that we shouldn't relay what we said. There are a number of narrations that he brings. I thought some of these were pretty interesting. So a man came to Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and said something about another to him, and Umar responded, "If you like, I can investigate." He said, and if I find that you're lying, then you fall into the verse, "In ja'akum fasiq bi nabin." And if a troublemaker brings you news, check it first. And if you're truthful, you fall into the verse, "Hammazun masha'in bin namim," to any backbiter or slandermonger. Or if you like, I can overlook this. So he says, "Forgiveness, please, Amir al-Mu'mineen. I promise never to come back." Another one, it was said that a wise man once visited his brothers and they told him about one of his friends. The wise man responded that you have slowed my journey and have come to me with 3 crimes. You made me detest my friend, you busied my heart with nonsense, and you broke our trust. Another one, it was narrated by Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik. He was sitting with Zuhri, major Imam Hadith, and a man came to them. Sulaiman said, "I heard that you spoke of me and said such and such." The man said, "I neither said nor did that." Sulaiman said, "The one who told me is truthful." So Zuhri said to him, "It is not possible that a namam, a tale carrier, is truthful." Sulaiman said, "You speak the truth," and turned to the man and said, "Leave in peace. It's okay." Al-Hasan said, "Whoever has tale carried to you has tale carried you to others." Right? Like you are not the first, you're not the first victim of this crime. Like if he's talking about someone else, there's a good chance that he's also talking about you. Here, all of these are indications of hating the tale carrier and not to trust his statements. So again, hate, is a spectrum. Like disliking the person for doing that is very different than disliking the person on a whole. Because people, like I said, they're not blocks of wood. There's a lot of compartmentalization to people. I like the fact that he's generous. I like the fact that he smiles. I like the fact that he's always willing to hang out. But I dislike the fact that he stays up late. Right? So there are different things that we can compartmentalize about people, and disliking the fact that he is a namam or that he tales carries is different than disliking him as a whole. Yes, sure.
So basically, we hate the ma'siyah, but not the person.
Not the person. Yeah,
Right.
not the person.
So not the person himself.
No, because even personal hate, that's always going to boil down to how that person deals with me, right? Versus people like people are complicated. I mean, like we all have different parts, and you might like someone in the morning, but you don't like them in the evening. I mean, like because of how people, like how we deal with each other and how dynamic humans are. Like we're always fluctuating. We're always changing. And there are certain characteristics that we like about people, and there are certain characteristics that we dislike about them. The interesting thing with friendships is that it is a completely voluntary relationship. But the funny thing is that we tend to hold on to those relationships tighter than other ones. And I think because it's easier to show a certain face in front of friends than it is in front of family. Like family, you can't hide, right? They're always going to see you in whatever shape and face that you are. Friends, you can always put on a certain face in front of them and when you're dealing with them. And it's, you have the Prophet ﷺ, he said, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ. He said, the best of you is the one who is best to his wives. Huh?
Is that a prophet or Umar?
This is the Prophet ﷺ. And here he ﷺ, I think he said it because our expectations for our family tends to be very high and our friends tends to be very low when it should be it should be the other way around. Huh?
Kinship and friendship are different. Kinship and friendship.
Yes. No,
Some
they
people,
are different. Yeah.
They put friendship than
They put their friendship first. Yeah. So
Some people they don't like their relatives.
yeah,
They
they're really close with their
more
friends.
close to friends.
No, it does happen.
Islam is not
It's not, but I think it's a twofold problem. Honestly, I think it's a twofold problem. Many times we'll be like, oh, you shouldn't be like this. Okay, but what is the family doing? Right? You know what I mean? Like relationships are two ways. It's never like, oh, he's always doing it. Is the family responding appropriately? And I think that's a conversation that needs to happen too. Like, I'm not saying that this person is right, but I'm not saying that these people are right either. Like there has to be some kind of consolidation that happens between them. And it's usually the family that's more rigid than the person, which is why the person chooses to be with their friends more than they do with the family. But you have to have balance. Like, you know, all of us, we need to have balance. So how can he not be hated? He says he's combined between lying, backbiting, treachery, deceit, ill will. Like, I think Ghazāli just got really burned in his lifetime by someone or someone who spent a lot of time speaking about him, because he goes on like he's like really upset in his entire discussion, and he strives to break what Allah ordered. Like, you know, he goes further. He says, وَيَقْطَعُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَن يُوصَلَ وَيُفْسِدُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And over here it's talking about the munafiqeen, but he's using them as an example of the people who are doing namima. But Allah musta'an. So yeah, I hate the action, not necessarily the person. But like I said, I think he had a couple bad experiences that really, you know, just kind of put him over the edge with gossipers. He brings some relevant to the text here is إنما السبيل على الذين يظلمون الناس ويبغون في الأرض بغير الحق أولئك لهم العذاب الأليم. That, but there is a cause to act against those who oppress people and transgress in the land against all justice. They will have an agonizing torment, and the namam is from them. So the gossiper is from these people who actually cause oppression and they cause fitna in the land. The Prophet ﷺ said, the worst person is the one who others fear his harm. That means that other people are scared of him. This person is feared. Like he is feared by others. They don't want to be around him, or they don't want to be around her. These are all elements that we should work to purify ourselves from. There are many, like, we don't want to be the intimidating one. We don't want to be the antagonizing one. We don't want to be the judgmental one. We want to be the one who the people are comfortable to come to. Even he sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, just imagine you had a personality or a being where you have a young man walking up to him and saying, give me permission to make zina. Like, how comfortable must he have felt to be able to even ask that? You know, can you imagine anybody going up to like our mashayikh today and like, you know, asking something like that? It's not. Some of us are afraid to ask like actual things, like how to make wudu. You know, like forget these things, huh? I mean, he's the best of mankind, but
the worst person is this one.
yeah, this is the worst
He's the
person.
best guy, the worst
Oh, so the best is the opposite of this. The one who the people are who look forward to. So if we understand the opposite of this, is the worst person is the one whose others fear. The best person is the one who no one fears. Right? You know, from the people. I'm sorry. How do you find it?
How do you find it?
What-
Do you
How do we work toward it?
Yeah.
Look at the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's it. You copy his way. And how did he do? So he would smile. When he was walking and somebody asked him a question, he would stop, he would turn, he would look at him. Yeah, like these are all he sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made everybody feel special. When people knew he was in a place, you know what they would do? They would go and try to find him, just to be with him,
Yeah.
just to hear him, just to listen to him. Now, if we know somebody somewhere, like we want to, we want to go the other way. So how do we work to be like that? And how do we be like that? Like, go through the Quran. Aisha radiallahu anha, she tells us, kana khuluquhu al-Quran. How to be nice, how to be kind, how to deal with our children, how to deal with our wives, how to deal with our friends, how to deal with our neighbors. There's so many lessons in all of this. But the problem is that we as a society and we as a community, we've become very selfish. It's about my prayer, it's about my hajj, it's about my space in the masjid, it's about my reading Quran. The number of arguments that I've had to hear from people is like, well, can't you see I'm reading Quran? And I'm like, can't you see this is Allah's house and not yours? It's like, oh, can't you see that I'm praying? Like, obviously I can, akhi. I'm not blind. But there are other activities that are going on. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made the masjid for him. He didn't make it for you. This is a community space. There are certain times where I agree, for sure. Like when the Fardh prayer is going on, or Taraweeh is going on, make extra efforts. Make extra efforts to teach our kids, hey, listen, it's prayer time. We should respect the space. But between the prayers, hey, what's the problem? What's the issue? The space is for everyone. Just like I have to be patient with you reading your Quran loud, you have to be patient with me talking to my friends. Like this is the nature. This is how community is built, because we learn to be tolerant with each other. We learn to respect each other, and we learn how to use community spaces.
But it's not, most of us, we don't practice this thing, but no, we don't practice it.
I think we don't know. Inshallah, I think if we,
You don't do it.
I said the more we learn, inshallah, I think the better we can get. Or the other problem is like many times we hear like this is what you're supposed to do, but all of that applies to everyone else, right? Right? It doesn't apply to me. Like, alhamdulillah, I come and I pray. I'm in the first row every day. Yahi, if you're in the first row every day, you should be the nicest person in the masjid. Because in the salati tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. And what is fahish here? This is fahish. That people are scared of you. People don't want to talk to you. People are scared of praying next to you. And what is the benefit of your prayer if the people are still scared of you and they still fear you? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. The severer will not enter paradise. And the severer, the one who breaks ties and breaks bonds. It was said that the severer is the one who severs ties, and he is the namam, the gossiper. And also said that the one who severs family ties, and these are the one who breaks salat rahim. These are the two that are intended in this hadith. It was narrated on Ali that a man came, and very similar to the hadith of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. He said, I've come to ask you about what you said, and if you're truthful, we will hold you, and if you're lying, we will punish you. Like, you're not going to benefit either way. He said, if you like, we can leave you. So he said, please leave me. Like, okay, I'll stop talking. I won't say anything. It was said to Muhammad ibn Ka'b al-Quradi that what characteristics should a believer leave off? What should he abandon? He said, speaking much, spreading secrets, and accepting the statement of anyone who comes to him. Like, so he should leave this off. That just because somebody comes and says something to me, I shouldn't believe it. I shouldn't believe it. A man said to Abdullah ibn Amir, who was a governor, it has reached me that so-and-so, that he mentioned the governor in an ill manner. He said, it is as such. The governor then said, tell me what he said so that we may expose his lies. He said, I do not wish to curse myself with my own tongue. It is enough for me to trust what he said. This is a promise I refuse to break. Meaning that I refuse to take the gossip forward. Some slanderous people were mentioned to a group of righteous ones, and one of them said, what do you think about a people that praises honesty at every level of people except from them? Meaning that when a killer is honest, when a liar is honest, when a abuser is honest, their honesty is still accepted. But the one who gossips and backbites, his honesty is to be rejected. Musab ibn Zubair said that we see that accepting slander is worse than actual slander, because slander is just a means and accepting it is complicit, and you're accepting it. The one who shows something is not the same as the one who accepts and is complicit in it. He's not the same as the one who willingly takes it. Be wary of the slanderer, for if he is truthful in what he says, he is despicable in his truth, because he does not care for the honor or sanctity or hide the faults of others. Slander is equivalent to namima, the only difference being that in slander, he fears the one he is telling, and it is called si'aya. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who carries tales between the people is like one without a compass, yani like an ill-begotten son, and he has no guide. A man said to Amr ibn Ubayd, some of the patrolmen still talk ill of you. So Amr said to him, you have not fulfilled the rights of a gathering because you carried forward these tales. Nor have you given me my right by telling me that which I dislike. Let them know that death encompasses us all, and that the graves will enclose on us, and that the day of judgment will bring us together, and that Allah will judge between us, and He is the most fair of judges. Some said tale carrying is built on lies, jealousy, and hypocrisy. It is the bringer of lowliness. So if the opposite of honor, if I want honor, then these are not the things that I should seek. I should seek the opposite of them. And if I want dishonor and I want lowliness, then these are the things that I should practice. The evil of the tale carrier is great and should be avoided at all costs. That is basically the message that he is giving. And then he ends with a story, which actually is really enjoyable. So Hamad ibn Salama said, a man sold his slave and said to the buyer, there is no shortcoming in him except that he is a gossiper. He is a tale carrier. The buyer agreed, and the slave stayed some days with him. The slave said to the owner's wife, your husband doesn't love you, and he plans on taking a concubine. Take a blade and shave off some of the hair from his forehead when he's sleeping, and bring it to me so that I may do some magic on him and he may love you. He then said to the husband, your wife has taken a partner and is planning on killing you. Act like you're sleeping and you will find out. That night, he acted as if he were sleeping, and his wife came with the blade, and he thought she intended on killing him, so he fought her and killed her. The family of the wife found out and killed him, which then led to a blood feud between the two families that lasted generations. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessed favor and to protect us. Wallahu a'lam wa sallallahu ala khayri khalqin nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Any questions? Huh? I mean, it's a good story, and it's a terrible story. Right? Yeah, Allah must. Yes.
Why is Ghazāli?
So this is something that you'll find as a theme throughout Ghazāli. Ghazāli talks about resetting our meters, right? Resetting our internal meters. So if I want to, if I'm overeating, if I overeat, for example, what is one thing? How do I reset my meter to adjust to regular eating? Right? So I have to completely restrict it. So basically what he says is that every time my meter is off, my personal meter is off, for whether it be gossiping, whether it be for lying, whether it be for slander, whether it be for any of these ills, what I have to do is I have to completely reset the meter. Because if I just adjust it, what happens? So like over here, if my meter is like this and I adjust it slightly and I go like this, what is the middle going to be? The middle is going to be here. I'm still what? I'm still off. But when I reset my meter, what happens? Then I can actually come to the actual middle. But if I just adjust things, if I can't do slight adjustments. I can't do slight adjustments when it comes to backbiting. I can't do slight adjustments when it comes to gossiping. I can't do slight adjustments when it comes to slander. I can't do slight adjustment when it comes to lying. I have to completely remove these traits altogether. And that is when my compass will actually become straight. And that's why you'll find the way he deals with a lot of these things. And he mentioned it like a number of chapters ago, that the reason that he presses these issues in this way is so that we actually learn to reset our compass and reset our meter, so that we can understand what actually is truly gossip and what is not. Because if we just adjust our meter slightly, we could still fall into some gossip.
And is it true he said math is haram?
No.
No. That's not true.
No, absolutely not. That sounds ridiculous.
Because
And even if he does, who cares?
I
Said math is haram.
This is really
It might have been in related to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It might have been related to how numbers are used. So it might have been numerology and not math. The difference between numerology is that it's actually a type of magic. Yeah. So no, I don't think the numbers itself. But if he saw numerology, or maybe if there was a confusion between that and like advanced math, I don't know. At the end of the day, the excuse I can make for him is if he's associating with numerology, for sure, because numerology is magic. But if it's just mathematics in and of itself, no, there's no problem with that. Yeah, inshallah. Share it with me. Yes.
my understanding is
Even if he did, like, he's wrong. So no.
my understanding is both him and
Yeah.
many other medieval scholars
Yeah,
spoke on the limitations of mathematics.
that's possible. So the thing is, like, what can math tell us? I can definitely see that. But that's with any science, right? Not every science can tell us everything. Any other questions? So inshallah, there's no class this week. We'll be switching back to our Wednesdays, our Wednesday class, and class will be 6:30 regardless of the prayer time. So the first class is 6:30, and this Tazkīyah class will be at 7:35 or so. And if there's Maghrib in the middle, we'll take a break for Maghrib, and then we'll continue, inshallah, and then we'll finish. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. No class this, like, so in 3 days, no class. The following Wednesday, inshallah, you guys, if you guys aren't in the WhatsApp group, I think, are you an admin now?
Yes.
Okay, so you can talk to Alia and she can add you to the group, inshallah.